Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Wiseman Show. Tonight's episode, Predictions and Prophecies. I'm Louis, and I have W. Riz.
First of all, happy Friday 13th, everybody. And I'm Jesse, your worst nightmare.
All right, thank you for joining us tonight. We're looking forward to this episode tonight. We're going to discuss several topics, a little bit of prophecies that have yet to come true, some that have come true, some Nostradamus, some Simpsons, some biblical stuff thrown in there because you can't do anything without that right now. I don't know. So how you guys been? Been a couple weeks. Well, we're about a week since we've done anything, right?
Feels. Yeah. Yeah, we've been banging these episodes out, bro.
But it's
It's been so long. It's been 3 days.
Is that it?
No, I think it's been a couple, 4 more days than that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Couple.
I just came upon another one that blew my mind a little bit, so I hope so.
Oh man, should we just dive right into that one? Should we just? All right. Right. So should we just dive into the Nostradamus? What do we want to do here? You want to?
Yeah, let's
I mean,
let's do
shoot,
it.
why not? It'll probably lead into more stuff. So,
Right.
all right, let me go jump into my notes. I got called by surprise. He wasn't ready.
Yeah, right.
Oh, with your pants down.
All right, so here we go. Our boy Nostradamus. He was a 16th century seer. Actually, he started off as a doctor, to my understanding, and a decent one to boot. He became famous after he wrote a book of poems entitled Book of Prophecies. Sorry. He began making prophecies in about 1547. He published his prophecies in a book entitled Centuries in 1555. He wrote his prophecies in what are called quatrains. For those of you illiterate folks out there or who have been out of high school for a long time, let me refresh your memory. Quatrains are 4 lines of rhyming verse. And these quatrains were grouped in hundreds. So each set of 100 quatrains was called a century. And that's how he got the title of his book. He gained notoriety during his lifetime when some of his predictions or his poems, they appeared to have come true. And after that, he started being sought out by his contemporaries, but like the rich folks. They wanted to know, like, is this guy, if he's really predicting things, they want him to start predicting things for them, so they can, rich folks, they like to know things so that they can make money off of it, right?
Yeah.
And he was a contemporary of King Henry II of France. And one of his quatrains supposedly predicts the death of King Henry II of France as well.
Jeez.
So I'm going to go ahead.
Is that his first most notable?
I believe so.
Right?
Well, I don't know if that was his first one, but that's probably his most notable one. So I'm going to jump in right into that one. So many notes today, mostly prepared. There we go. All right. So the death of King Henry. So they knew each other. And so at one point, Nostradamus wrote a letter to King Henry, and in it he addressed him once as the most invincible Henry, King of France. Obviously, that wasn't a good prediction.
Right.
Sounds like he killed him. He set him up.
It's possible
Already.
Yeah.
So-
like he's just lied to everybody. This is how he tricked everyone.
Like gave him so much confidence. It's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're invincible.
I do it all.
Poison.
So King Henry died during a joust. It was summertime. He had a recent victory, and he had a recent peace treaty that he had signed, and to celebrate that, he held tournaments and festivals over the summer. And he was jousting with another one of the young soldiers, and he ended up catching a lance, some lance shrapnel to the eyeball, through the eye into the skull. So
Dead. DEED.
well, it wasn't even like a quick death, unfortunately. It was a slow and painful death, and he died of sepsis.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
man,
He actually
that's
lived a
brutal.
little bit after. Oh my god.
And to die of sepsis, that must have been probably weeks after.
I mean, sepsis. Once you get sepsis, it
It's
gets
like
pretty
72
fast.
hours
Yeah,
Oh, really?
is
Okay.
normal, yeah.
I'm ignorant.
For the
Go
for
for
the
it.
like-
beginning of it though.
yeah. Once like sepsis actually grabs hold, but like you can be alive and be in pain for a couple days before the infection's bad enough that you're septic.
Yeah.
But the quatrain that goes along with it, I'm gonna read it for you. It says, "The young lion will overcome the older one, that he will pierce his eyes through a golden cage, and the 2 wounds will ensure a cruel death." And then, so some critics point out, though, um, that the quatrain also says the killing occurs on the field of combat in single battle. But obviously, Henry died slain during
That's
practice. Like
that's pretty accurate. Because if he's having like visions like a remote viewer, and then
Yeah.
he just sees this guy get hit, which is his friend too, and he's like,
Yeah.
it's in battle. That's pretty accurate. That's pretty
Yeah.
legit, dude.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, you could not necessarily differentiate a playful
Right.
joust and like actual combat, like training versus combat, I guess. So that was the big one that kind of really kicked him off to us. Anyway, I think he had some other ones, obviously, that made him known to the royalty and the bigwigs at the time. So another one that, and I don't know, this was one of the ones that I was like, meh, not really. It was the Great Fire of London, supposedly he predicted. And I'm going to read the quatrain. It says, "The blood of the just will commit a fault at London. Burnt through lightning of 23's the 6. The ancient lady will fall from her high place. Several of the same sect will be killed." So, and they do some numbers, and 23's the 6 they interpret as 66. And then they say add that to the mention of London and reference to deaths and stuff, and they think it was the Great London Fire. But the London Fire started from a bakery fire, a flame in a bakery, not by lightning. No one really knows what the ancient lady means, except maybe the city London itself. So that one's kind of really weak, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like when
4 out of 10.
Yeah. I'll give
when
it
I
a 4.
read that quatrain though, like it immediately evoked current times, and I can't piece it all together, but just like an immediate feeling of our current war in Ukraine for some reason. Like
Right.
Tony Blair,
For sure.
and the ancient lady in my head immediately popped up with Statue of Liberty. Like that's what popped into my head when I read that line.
Mm.
So,
The
and
ancient lady.
I don't know exactly how to piece it all together, but I looked up like ancient lady. I just put in the ancient lady in DuckDuckGo or Google. I'm not even sure what the fuck. Bing, I think is what I'm using right now, and it gave me Lilith. Was what popped up.
Interesting. I've heard Ishtar as well. Ishtar.
Yeah.
Is
So
like
I
supposed
don't
to
know.
be
I don't know. That one's kind of loose as far as whether or not he was right.
the ancient lady is loose.
All right, I got a couple more. So one that seems like he was pretty dead nuts on, was, well, there's two. There's the coming of Hitler, and it's pretty close, I'd say, and then the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs.
Nagasaki.
So Let me grab this one real quick. 26.
Every time I see Lewis's camera, I think he's like got a police
I got-
officer.
I got pulled
like,
over.
pulling him over.
So I got these lights going in the background, and so I was at the Halloween store earlier, and like you guys have cool backgrounds. Mine's just like the shed, like the bare wood walls of my barn that I'm chilling in, and like the TV. So I was like, oh, let me try to do something cool that isn't like a fake background, you know?
I like
All
it.
right.
So I
It's
grabbed
gonna-
these strobe lights.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I like it too.
I got purple and blue, but it looks like just I'm sitting in front of a cop car right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you got pulled over by a squad car. Holy
Oh.
moly. What is that? What you got over there, Steven? Steven's drinking some more olive oil this episode.
I had to pull that out there.
It's good for
Some
the
more
COVID.
salad dressing down the
It's
tubes.
good for the yes.
All right. So the prophecy of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. This is Nostradamus's quatrain 2:6. It says, "Near the harbors within two cities, there will be two catastrophes, and the like of which never seen. Intense and torment by a bomb, human lives are ended,
Mm.
crying for help from the great God immortal."
Oh my god. That's intense.
Like that
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. Whoa.
I can't. I mean, and obviously there's some bias because like we knew going in that that's supposed to be about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would be
That
even relative
yeah.
to that.
Wow.
Now the two waters part
Boom.
and bomb, many people die. Yeah, that's
So that one was cool. Do we want to do the Hitler one?
Yeah. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's quick.
Okay,
I'm
so this
sure
one-
this could probably fit a lot of different people, but I'm interested.
The history part, right? That's the part that everybody dwells over when he says
Yeah.
history.
All right, let me find it here. Put it down. 224. All right, so like it works for the most part, and the history we can talk about because that one is, some say it's wordplay, some say it's in reference to something else, but it still kind of fits.
Right.
It's not necessarily naming Hitler directly, but just someone from that area, and it could work. So the quatrain is: wild men, ferocious with anger, cross over rivers. The great part of the battlefield will be against Hister. It's translated to Hitler, but non-translated it says Hister.
Right.
In armor of steel, the great army will make the assault, when the child of Germany shall heed no one.
He actually says child of Germany?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I
in
didn't know that.
French it says "Quand reine enfant de Germain observera."
It's so funny. Are you trying to speak French like you're German?
No, I was trying to speak. I was speaking French,
in
but
a
I was
German
reading-
accent.
I was reading it more like if it was Latin, not French, because I can't do a French accent.
Well, sorry to tell you, but you sound awful German.
It's because I sound angry in German.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
So that one, when I read it, like until you get to the German part, and obviously the history part, maybe, but like I start thinking about current events and what's going on between Israel and Palestine, right?
Huge
Okay, so
topic.
this is
I have a
Wild
huge
Men-
prediction too for this. This
Ferocious
is gonna
with
be
anger,
good.
but I have another one. Like I read another one just a second ago that blew my fucking mind.
Yes,
All
blow
right,
my
let's hear
mind.
it.
So, but
Yeah.
let's talk about this Hitler one. We're still there. What do you guys think of this one?
You
you think
sold me
he-
on. You sold me
think
at
he got it?
Germany.
Yeah, a German child, right? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sold me at Germany for sure.
When the child of Germany shall heed no one. So,
It's
okay.
slightly vague, but I mean, you can compare it for sure.
Yeah, just
Okay.
a little bit. The guy killed, mass murdered
Yeah,
all sorts of people.
Yeah. Wild
Most
men,
of Jews.
ferocious with anger, cross over rivers.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't
Yeah,
think,
'cause he would
I
just-
don't think there was ever like a Antichrist figure in Germany, ever. other than Hitler. So I think he kind of like, I think that kind of isolates the figures of Germany.
Is that
Okay.
true? We'll have to fact check that.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, there's a handful, but
Maybe.
Are they German?
not
Right.
in
Yeah,
not in
I-
Germany, not in Germany, but
Okay.
yeah,
in Europe.
exactly. I could agree.
So, do me a favor. One of you guys look up Mabus real quick. Mabus. Does that sound familiar to either of you? Mabus?
Kind of does, yeah.
Mabus.
Okay, I thought it might to you, Stevie.
Mabus.
Mavis.
All right, my bus. Ray Mabus. Mybus. Urban
No.
Dictionary. Mabus.
M-A-
MAY.
No Y, just Mabus.
Okay, Mabus. So, an alleged predecessor to the third Antichrist, or the
Ew.
Antichrist itself, according to Nostradamus in popular culture. Interesting.
Okay, I wasn't sure what would pop up for you guys if there was something else. So this quatrain number 262, I was scrolling through and I saw this. And obviously with what is going on right now between Israel and Palestine, this is like it like automatically you're like, "Oh, yeah, he fucking nailed it." So
Yeah.
it says Mabus then quickly at this time will commit mass murder. There will come upon men and beasts one horrible slaughter.
Men and
Then what-
beast? Like, what
then-
do you think he means by that? I'll let you finish, but we got to go back to that.
Yeah. Then one shall see a coup of vengeance upon all. There is a great taking of lives, thirst, anger, when the comet shall pass. And so someone, I don't know whoever put this together, they do kind of like a little synopsis at the end of each quatrain.
Which
And it
comment?
says-
That's the first thing I think of.
Well, so it says Nostradamus employs a word game to describe the third Antichrist, Mabus. Mabus will appear when the comet passes by in the night sky. Mabus is the hidden culprit behind the initial attack that will ignite the flames of war between the sons of Isaac, Christians,
Right.
and the sons of Ishmael, Islamics.
Yep.
After Mabus fulfills his destiny of starting World War III, his life will be quickly brought to an end.
Dude, this is deep. This is
So, yeah.
fire. This is on fire right now.
I was not expecting to like get it really. I mean, yes, I knew we were going to talk about some stuff like this because you were going to be talking about biblical prophecies, I assumed later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we always kind of get into that stuff, but like, just like this wasn't even one of the prophecies that of Nostradamus that I came across earlier, and it just
clicked just
It
now.
was
Like
meant
just
to
boom. Like
be.
I was just scrolling. It's synchronicity.
okay, so break it down. Who do you think Mabus is?
I mean, it says the third Antichrist. I know that the Bible does talk about there's 5 kings, there's one that's not yet come, and that one that is. So like there would be like a total of 7. I'm not sure exactly if maybe the number is correct, but definitely the correlation between Isaac and Ishmael, is that correct? And then
Yeah.
so like real quick, the Bible talks about it talks about when Israel's established, become a nation, and that all of the Jews basically all kind of moved back to Israel. And this kind of pertains back to like the whole 1948 Israel becoming a nation, and then all of the people kind of starting to move back into the nation from Europe and from the Middle East and all this kind of stuff. And will be like torment, war. There will be like a terrible time upon Israel from the surrounding nations, and that this Antichrist does make a peace deal with Israel and the many. So like there is a covenant.
Donald Trump.
So there is, well, this kind of like goes back to the Abraham Accords because you mentioned Trump. So we'll just kind of tie that in because he did sign the Abraham Accords to try, which is a precursor peace deal between those countries and Israel that they've been at war for hundreds of years now. And it just kind of ties in what Louis was saying.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I didn't know this. I did not know this.
Yeah, I
I'm
didn't
pissed
either.
I did not know this.
Well, now you know, so you're welcome.
Thank
All right,
you.
let's go back to that second line from the quatrain. Upon men and beasts, one horrible slaughter. You said you wanted to come back to that.
So men and beast, like real quick, I'll just talk with you guys. What do you think he's meaning by beast specifically?
I would think
Okay.
animals as well, because so it starts with Mabus then quickly at this time will commit mass murder. There will come upon men and beasts one horrible slaughter. So if you go by just our current events, you could say that could be Hamas's attack,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where they came in and they just started killing everything indiscriminately,
Mm-hmm.
right? Allegedly, or actually, however you want to look at it. Like,
Right.
you know,
So beast
whichever,
is the actual.
like,
Because
like actual beasts, like,
No, so he actually uses the word beast in his writing.
yeah, says des gens et bestes, which I
Okay.
assume is
I would like to know like the
on men
etymology of
and
that
beasts.
word, and
Exactly.
right
Let's
to
know the
see what he
etymology
actually.
of it.
But my thought was like men and beasts. So like
Cryptids.
he's
Bigfoot.
well no, but he's obviously talking about an antichrist figure, basically like making war with men, right?
Mhm.
So in Revelation, the Antichrist is actually referred to as the beast. So there's a beast system, but then there's
Mm.
he's actually represented as the beast as well. So it's just kind
So
of like that's what I kind of.
big contradictive to
What do
you.
you mean?
Like, doing it that way because he says it's going to destroy men and beast.
Well,
And
because
it's
the Antichrist makes war with men because those that don't bear the mark, he kills. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Yeah, but it says destroys men and beast. Right.
is that what that says? Maybe I heard it wrong.
Hold on. All right.
Maybe I heard
Hear
it
that
wrong.
again. I could have heard it wrong.
Well, the translation says upon men and beasts.
Upon men
One
and beasts.
horrible-
Okay.
So destruction
One
upon
horrible-
men
Upon
and
all.
beast.
Okay. So I could see it that way. That's why I wasn't fully like 100% on what I just heard that word and I was like, hold on, that kind of like file.
Okay,
What's
so
this file say?
walk us through the rest of this. What is your thoughts, Louis?
I am having a hard time not attaching it directly to what just happened
Okay,
in
break
Israel.
that down.
So-
Break it on down.
So those first two lines are the Hamas attack, right? Then the next line is, then one shall see a coup of vengeance upon all. And that just, to me, that is the retaliatory strikes. Like Israel's saying,
Okay.
fuck everybody. We're going to fuck you up if you like. We're giving you the heads up. We're coming. If you are still here when we show up, you are going to be dead. Like they
Yeah.
have given that warning, right? Like
Yes.
Makes sense.
That and our tax dollars.
And then the fourth line of that quatrain is, there is a great taking of lives, thirst, anger when the comet shall pass.
Okay.
So,
All right,
and
so
to
we got to
me,
look up if there's
that-
a. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was searching, trying to do
Any-
a couple things at once here. The great taking of lives is going to be World War III, and so I was trying to look up if there's both. I was trying to look up the etymology of bestis, which is the French word, and it keeps coming back to something Germanic. Because
Oh wow, so you were right. You were speaking in the correct tone.
maybe I
The
was. I don't
dialect.
know, but he's French. I don't know. And then I was trying to see if there's any comets currently in the night sky.
Well, look up any comments that passed. Any comments that pass in the next few years, like the comet shall pass. Was there any? Was
you know
there
what
any?
I've been? Sorry, I'm gonna
Oh, go ahead.
interrupt. What I've been thinking about is that conversation we had with your dad the other night, and he kept saying he told us 24 months was his time frame, but then he wouldn't elaborate on why.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Okay, I do remember that briefly.
Yeah, I remember that.
Briefly.
And so, like, now I'm thinking, like, all this stuff, if there's a comet within the next 2 years, like, war is almost inevitable. Like a full on World War III is almost inevitable at this point. Like what
It's
all
very
what
yeah.
kind
That's
of wild shit is about to go down that
Yeah.
the AI knows about and that your dad's afraid to even tell us.
he did say that. I totally forgot he said that.
Yeah, because you
I'm
asked
gonna
him a
have
couple
to.
times. You're like, no, let's go back to this. Don't change the subject, and he just kept going like nothing. And I was like, all right, well, guess
Yeah,
he was not going to answer.
welcome to my childhood. Been doing that to me since I was a little kid.
I think that the
The
wars,
mysterious.
like there's a lot of predictions as far as like the wars go. Have you guys ever heard of Albert Pike's predictions of the 3 wars? World
I've
War
heard,
One, World
but
War Two, World War Three?
I
yeah,
have
I've
not.
heard, but
No.
I don't know anything about it.
Well,
Well, let's go ahead and segue into that because
yeah, it
there's a
kind
couple
of
other things that I got on Nostradamus, but
it definitely ties into like what Louis is talking about here. And so Albert Pike, he's a 33rd degree highly known Freemason, and I think he even has a statue in Washington D.C. But he's responsible for a lot of the revamp of Freemasonry in the late 1800s. But in the late 1800s, in 1880, on May 24th, he wrote a letter, and in this letter, he kind of discusses his views of how the future will hold 3 world wars, and he talks about the breakdown of the reasons for each war, and it's kind of crazy.
Wait,
I want to hear what you guys think when I say this.
What year is he from?
Well, he's late 1800s, early 1900s. But in this letter he wrote, it was 1880. So he says here, allegedly, right? The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the Caesars in Russia.
Oh my God!
And of the making that country a fortress of aesthetic communism. The divergences caused by the agentur, or agents, of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions.
Wow.
So World War One.
Yep.
Louis' face is so funny.
Dude, that's crazy.
Louis' face, dude. What?
Is he crying?
no,
What the fuck?
it's just like it always comes back to what we say. It's like people know what's going on. There's a playbook out there, and certain people are following that playbook and making that playbook happen.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I feel well, to piggyback off what you're saying, I feel like they don't just know this stuff like out of the blue, which at the end of this show I would definitely like to talk about with you guys. How do we think these predictions came about? Do we think they were dreams? Do we think like it was occult activity? And it goes a lot deeper into that. I have my own little theories that I kind of research, which are nowadays known as like government projects. It's kind of super cool stuff.
Remote viewing.
Weird, but interesting. So moving on to the Second World War. He says the Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in the order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. Interesting. Dude, I don't look at the wars this way, but when you read it, it kind of makes political sense, I guess. Like, that's why wars are kind of fought. It's kind of just weird.
Yeah.
And I know I'm reading it like a dumbass, but the screen is pretty far from me and I can't see, so sorry. So that's the Second World War, and which just makes sense. It destroys fascism, destroys Nazism, builds up Zionism. What took place in 1948, which is a biblical prophecy for Israel to become its own nation. In 1948, it became, and it was established as a nation through the Rothschilds. Let me say this, and since then they've been their own nation, which is weird. Because, not weird, but it brings a lot of conflict because the Israel nation technically is in Palestinian land. Like, that's why they're fighting over all this stuff today. Like, they see it more as like the Israelis have a territory but they want the land still. All right,
Similar
so
like Taiwan type of deal.
yeah, 100%. So this is the big one. This is World War III. So Pike then predicted a third world war, which he said must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agenda of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. He continued to say, the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam and political Zionism mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight to the point to complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke an formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of the absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Well,
I feel like that's happening right now. You know what I mean? I feel like that's happening right now.
Because there's a lot of like spiritual things based off of all this war like going on. It's all pretty much faith-based.
Look at what's going on with you see a lot of people trying to read the Bible now. You see a lot of people dive into spirituality because they've seen turmoil and so much like brutality in the last decade, and they're like, you know what, this is enough. Maybe we should come to a moral and ethical standard for ourselves and keep going down.
Oh my gosh, dude. So hold on, it goes on further. Hold on. Then everywhere the citizens obligated to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, who deistic spirits will from the moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought final out in public view.
Wow. That's a little creepy.
Dude, I didn't even see this part. This was like another quote from it, and it was like
postscript.
I saw Lucifer, and I was like, hold on, man. And but it kind of like goes on with the normalization of, I guess, Satanism in pop culture. I don't know. That's like kind of like what I'm thinking.
Right.
Maybe.
So you think that's what the doctrination is, because it says doctrination, or what does it say? Does it say doctrination, or does it say?
It says pure doctrine of Lucifer.
The doctrine.
So Zionism's going to get... So if you think about it, like Islam, Judaism, basically the main religions of the world are going to get destroyed in this war. And
Doja Cat.
And the new religion will be a satanic religion, but I don't know what to make of everyone in the world having a satanic religion. It kind of... I'm just like, how would that work? I get the conditioning, but I don't think we're there yet. Maybe I don't think we're there yet. Is what I'm saying.
We're there, bro.
Well, just imagine where we'll be in.
Look at the
For
music. Look at
sure.
the culture we're in right now.
No, for sure.
Everybody
But
loves the satanic stuff. Like we're
yeah,
there right now, man.
but imagine where we'll be in 10 years. Like, imagine this war goes
Yeah.
on. It just started, right? So, like, imagine this war
I
goes
agree.
on for 10 years, goes on for 15 years. And then, you know, they start hitting it hard with releasing a lot of more pop culture stuff and, you know, try to condition the youth and everything with more narratives and worldly narratives going on. It could. I'm not saying it's not. I believe it is. But it's just like, man, I don't want it to happen right now.
Okay, let me just make a point here. We live in the most influential society, and that's the United States of America. Our media, our pop culture is the most influential in the entire world. And when you look at the music and you look at the culture in general, the movies, the music, mostly the music, but a lot of the movies too. Dude, this is influencing, especially the young, especially the music, influencing all the young people. Like, there's a lot of satanic stuff that's been just pushed out more and more and more and more and more. So you know, I think it's already started. You're obviously right. Like the World War III is yet to truly begun, and when it does, it might just go overboard.
I think it's gonna drag out, but it'll turn up. I think when everyone gets involved, and I don't know. I hope nukes aren't. I mean, Louis definitely knows way more of like what's going on world-wise, military-wise. But like, if nukes just start getting, if one nuke gets sent, dude, I think it's complete. We're done, dude. Like, get in the ground. Get in the ground.
I don't know that it is anymore. So there's a lot of talk about like now, like the yield on a lot of these nukes can be dialed in so well anymore that I don't know that just because one country like sets off a nuke, like maybe like if Russia or Iran or someone just starts fucking full send, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I think we'll have not that any nukes aren't that big a deal, but then I think we would have a huge issue, right? Because then other countries, I think, would be more inclined to respond to just try and intercept, even, right? But if it's just like a tactical nuke somewhere, I think that unfortunately that's the I guess the word on the street is like tactical nukes are expected to become part of the game and like they'll just be used every once in a while.
So in the future, in the recent future that you're talking.
Yeah. Like suitcase size nuke kind of deal.
So
You know
we're
what I mean?
talking like Mission Impossible, like suitcase.
I haven't been there.
Airport.
I haven't seen
Like
that movie yet, dude.
fucking Kill Streak. I haven't seen that particular
like you
movie.
open
But
up the
like
suitcase and you do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You got the kill streak and fucking doom done.
Which we're gonna be on Call of Duty here soon, boys. November. We're definitely gonna play some games before we all die. Okay.
Ooh.
Oh,
Zombies.
actually, that's a good segue into things we're gonna be doing in the future. So, all of you who are following us on Twitch, maybe gonna catch this on YouTube, hopefully as well. We have hooked up with a media company, Punk Farm Media, and our podcast is going to be with them.
You forgot to do the wah wah wah.
Ba, 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 ba.
Wah 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 wah.
Ba, ba, ba. Yeah. So Punk Farm Media, you can find them in Spotify, and our show is going to show up in their feed once a week. Thursdays, I believe, is the date we're going to go for. This episode is going to be the first episode on their feed. And so all of our stuff going forward is going to be audio-wise, it's going to be with them. YouTube and the Gram and Twitch, all this video stuff is going to be still with us. Yay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, and we're looking at doing some other stuff, Patreon, blah blah blah, where you can catch some extra content. Yada 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 yada.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yiddish.
So
Hit us up.
yeah.
Good segue. Yeah, we're about to blow up, fellas. We're gonna get this going.
But yeah, so I just want to say one more last thing about this whole doctrine of Lucifer or whatever. It is kind of like, you know, it's like what we said before, the conditioning of this I don't want to say new religion because it's been a very old religion, but it's becoming like it went through the desensitized stage already, and it's kind of becoming normalized. And it's like people are getting more normalized with the occult, with, you know, I guess demonic, not, I don't want to say activity, but like just more occult normalization. And then you know, the music industry, the film industry, all these kind of influential, you know, platforms are definitely hitting it hard, especially like in America, because we are, I guess, like the pop culture leader of the
Oh,
world.
dude,
Yeah, it was funny.
everybody copies us.
I was watching some of the news today, and there was an Israeli guy that was talking on the Israeli news channel. It was in English too, and he's wearing a Tupac shirt. I was like, oh wow, okay.
Oh my
It's
god!
got a Tupac shirt. I was like, okay.
When was this? When was this?
This was today.
You know why? Because they just supposedly caught Tupac's killer in Vegas.
Right. Yeah.
Probably something to do with that.
But Louis, we'll move on, and I want to hear what else of Nostradamus we have for our viewers.
Okay.
Bring
I
it
have
to
a
me,
couple
baby.
more things. So I was looking while you were talking. I wasn't ignoring you.
No, that's fine.
He
That's
was
okay.
he was ignoring you.
I'm
I saw he was ignoring you.
I'm used to it.
I was looking
Okay.
to try and find comets that are currently visible.
Mhm. Oh, Apophis.
And well, I didn't. That name
an-
didn't stand out to me.
That's
But
an asteroid.
there is a comet called Comet C/2020 F5, and then in parentheses it's nicknamed. Do you know what its nickname is?
Golly, dude. Wormwood?
Hitler.
I don't know.
It's
Hitler.
Master.
Okay.
That popped out to me. Just boom, Master, and I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, let's see what this motherfucker's doing.
Yeah. Nice.
So it is visible, not to the naked eye. It says that you need to long exposure photography. You can see it. There's a whole bunch of nerd stuff here that I really don't understand. It's currently in the constellation Andromeda. I don't know if that means anything biblically or prophetically.
Andromeda.
It is above the horizon currently. When you are in Greenwich, United Kingdom, you can see it in the west direction above the horizon. So,
All right, everyone go outside now. Look.
Dude, I looked yesterday. I saw a really bright star, like abnormally bright, to the right, due east of the moon. And I'm like, what? That's very bright. I wonder if that's it. I know we have an eclipse tomorrow.
Yes,
there's
the
solar
14th.
eclipse
Yes.
happening.
The Feast of Trumpets.
The feast.
Trumps.
That's what it's called.
It's
Oh, man.
Little horns, perhaps.
Oh man. That stuff was that I was just getting more weirded out last night. I was like, man, I usually just talk to myself about this, but they're talking to me about it now, and I'm just like, hold back, D-Matt. Hold back. Just
to fill everybody in.
Just kiss them with it.
To fill everybody in, Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Just to fill it in for you.
Oh, you said it. You did. You did
I
it.
said it. I
You
said
did
it. He is.
Oh man.
All right.
It's inevitable.
Okay.
We're all gonna die.
Back to ye old Nostradamus. Do we want to do the Kennedy assassination prediction?
Oh
or
my
move on,
gosh, bro.
Or move on to like things that may happen in 2024.
Do you think it's significant because I know some of the Nostradamus was like, maybe. Is JFK, do you think he hit anything spot on with that prediction?
Let me see. I gotta find.
I know I saw that. I'm like, whoa.
I couldn't find the whole quatrain. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But so he he's literally, as I said earlier, hundreds of quatrains. So just trying to find a specific one takes some time.
Yeah, but this is definitely one of his most famous, obviously, right?
It is, but like I found an article that discussed some of these, so I was able to find um some stuff on it, but not like the whole quatrain in order like I did with the other ones.
Oh, okay.
So obviously the killing of President John F. Kennedy is one of the most pivotal moments in our 20th century, right?
Facts.
It was a big deal. And some say Nostradamus gave us a hint of what was going to happen. So the part of the quatrain, one of the lines is, "From on high, evil will fall on the great man."
Ooh.
So that's obviously, if you want to take it as a reference to sniper or snipers, right?
Mhm.
Uh, Either on the grassy knoll or in the book repository. And then another line from there is, "A dead innocent will be accused of the deed." And people take that as a reference to Lee Harvey Oswald, who
Oh my
ended up
gosh.
he was
Ended up
killed
dead. Yep.
soon after, right?
Right. And everybody says he was actually innocent. He was the fall guy.
Right. And so and then another part of the line, it says, this article goes on, it says, "Nostradamus assures us that the true guilty party will remain in the mist."
Mm.
They still do, even when they came out, what, a few years ago, when Biden say something about, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, and I think why that prophecy makes a lot of sense is because it's been, I think those people that were involved are dead. So they're gone. There is no,
I mean,
you
there's a
know,
good chance that all but
maybe one.
like the people all that way at the top, everyone else was killed or died in an accident or
Right.
poisoned or some shit.
I think
Yes.
RFK knows. I think RFK knows. His father
Cyanide.
was killed too, right before the primaries, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he knows. RFK knows. He's in the loop. He won't tell anybody though.
As far as old Nostradamus, these are all past ones. So there's some stuff that people are claiming that he might be able to, that he's gave predictions about, like 2020. I guess he predicted some of the seismic activities in 2020 or 23. The 2024, that there will be, one thing he says, that the dry earth will grow more parched and there will be great floods. Very great famine through pestiferous wave. So like with those lines alone, it's I mean, that makes me think of China already, right? They've been in super drought and
Pestiferous. What does that mean?
pestiferous. I don't know, but if I had to just figure out the word, I would say
Aggressive.
similar to pestilence or pest. So that there will be
Oh.
some sort of like if I'd say some bugs or something or whatever that takes out crops and whatnot, but like that just befalls the whole area.
Yes.
Like a wave.
Harboring an infection and disease.
Oh, well there you go.
Yeah. Adjective on that. Yeah. Okay. Yep, you're right.
So there's that, but it makes me think of China, how they've they're the Yangtze, all that Asia area has started to really dry out, right? And
Yeah.
so they aren't be able to produce the same amount of food that they normally have. Even India isn't able to produce as much rice as they normally have,
Oh
and so
gosh.
they stopped exporting rice.
Really?
They
When did
stopped.
that happen?
Oh, a month or so ago.
Wow.
They
I
put a
didn't know
ban.
that.
They put a ban on rice exports, and they produce 40% of the world's rice, I believe.
Oh my God.
The only thing that they were exporting was the basmati rice, and I think they might have even stopped that.
That's my favorite rice.
No, I like jasmine. You're tripping, bro.
Basmati's better, dude. Get
Nah,
out.
it's
Get out
too
here.
light.
He likes
Flaky.
the heavy rice.
You don't
the
cook
heavy
it
rice.
right.
He likes it thick, 2
Yeah.
C's.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys.
I like plastic rice.
I like plastic rice. You ever seen that where they put the rice in the pot
And
to
it
see if
floats.
there's plastic in it? Well, they put the rice in a hot pot dry, and whatever rice melts is like, it's plastic, and all the other rice is burnt. You ever seen that? Never seen that? Look it
No.
up, YouTube. It doesn't work. I tried it. I didn't have any plastic in it anymore.
Nostradamus.
There's another
seer.
one where supposedly he predicts war with China or confrontation with China.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
My mom said Jasmine in the chat. Fuck you,
So
Jesse.
he predicted. Do I care what your mom thinks about rice?
you do.
It's my
You do.
preference, guys. It's what I like,
do.
not what you like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally off. Well, similar top, but like speaking of the chat, the first thing in
Oh,
there
dude, that was
tonight,
funny. Yeah, that was funny.
bro.
actually.
Jed, the evolution of beard growth is back.
yeah.
Beard growth.
Yeah.
Sorry, beard.
Yeah, Stevie's got the mustache, Louis got the partial, and then I'm boom. We got
Bam.
me. We got me
Yeah.
here with them full beard.
Bird, I'm a man. I have a beard. I'm a
Full
man.
beard. I have a beard. I'm a man.
So some of the words that he used, I don't have the whole thing in front of me. It says in a quatrain which opens with a vision of combat and naval battle, he writes, "Red adversary will become pale with fear, putting the great ocean in dread." And the question is red adversary a reference to communist China?
Russia.
Or, I mean, it could be Russia, right? But if you do it along with the great ocean,
Pacific.
like the Pacific is right there.
Well, so
right?
is with Russia too.
Yeah, they don't have yes, but
it's not really. Yeah,
Yeah, they don't project naval power so much to that side typically.
I would assume not either, because it's only like a point near Alaska. It's a very small.
Dude, this just
I mean, so from like the north of Japan over, basically, like how Alaska looks going out towards them, that's how Russia looks going the other way.
Golly.
Geography.
Dude, talking about these countries makes me think of the damn Euphrates River.
Oh man.
Oh
I've been
my gosh.
I have been thinking and researching a lot about that. Not
like naturally, how could it be drying up like naturally? Like I always look that kind of stuff up, and it's weird because I can't find anything. And another thing that's weird is that there's new rivers being formed in Syria, which is another prophecy. I'll get into that later.
Okay. That's about as far as I think we can go with Nostradamus that's going to make any sense for us.
Wow, he really is Nostradamus. Wow. I thought you were going to come with some. I mean, it's pretty good. It was the German got me with Hitler. That was good. You know, that was I don't know. I think that was the best one. The Hitler prediction.
Well, we can't have a predictions and prophecy episode without talking about the damn Simpsons.
Big facts. Big facts.
Tell me something, Jesse.
Dude. All right. So, okay. The Simpsons.
Tell me what
knows
this
now. Dude, we've been seeing it everywhere. It's all over TikTok for the last few years, since like 2016. And it probably started because of Donald Trump. But unfortunately, that video of Donald Trump going down the escalator was made just weeks after he actually went down the escalator in 2015. So everybody's saying that Donald Trump, that's the video. That's not the video. The real video was made in the year 2000. It's an episode called Bart to the Future. And it was made in 2000.
You're
Right,
breaking
and
my heart,
Lisa.
dude. I felt for it so bad, dude. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
millions of
I
other
did
people
too.
did, and you did
Oh
too.
yeah. Oh, I did too. Oh yeah. I was like, look at this. I was like, look at this. The guy drops the sign just like that guy drops
I
the
was
sign, and
like,
he's
and then
walking down the stairs the same.
he gives a thumbs up at the end. I was like,
Oh man, it's the same.
yeah,
It's like if you really look into it, I mean, just compare the animation between the early 2000s and 90s, and then the 20 mid 2000s to the 2020.
I felt like a
You'll
time
understand.
traveler.
Animation is different. Yeah, so the real episode, Lisa, it's called Bar to the Future, is made in 2000. She says that she picked up a debt of the economy, a big debt from Donald Trump. And the creepy part, I mean, that's cool. Like, you predicted Donald Trump in 2000 wanted to be president. But if you really think about it, Donald Trump in the 90s had an interview where he said he might think about running for president. So that was all over
Yes.
Forbes magazine, and
Yep.
so that wasn't a super hard prediction. But in the episode, you see Lisa sitting in the Oval Office, and she's wearing a purple suit with pearl necklace. And what do you see with Kamala Harris when she first got inaugurated with Joe Biden? She's wearing a purple suit
Yeah.
with some type of white necklace or pearls on it. It was very similar.
The
So that was
stupid ass official story that they gave why she wore that purple dress was because it was the mixture of blue and red.
Oh,
And I was
shut
like,
up.
you're
There's no
still
red in
not
it.
getting me. You're still not getting me. Like, I get it.
Bro.
You're okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Haha. Yeah.
There ain't no red in that. There ain't no red in that.
Well, when
No,
you mix red
how you
with
make-
It's
blue.
purple, man. Stop trying to lie to everybody. It's a purple dress, bro. It ain't blue or red. It's purple.
Are you
Okay,
so
are
dark.
you are you retarded? It's when you
I don't
mix
care.
the colors.
I don't care. There says the perfect mix of blue and red. That's stupid.
It's
dumb.
when you mix the lights that are
Why don't
behind
you make a
Louis. You
suit?
dumb
Yeah.
mother.
Why
Piece of
didn't you make
mother-
Why didn't you make a suit for her that was red and blue, half red and blue? Or see, that's a purple light. Anyway, so okay, you got that one. That's pretty creepy. And then you got so the ones that really stood out that were real. It's really hard to disseminate, if that is a word, between the reality, the real stuff people are posting, like on TikTok and YouTube, because there's a lot of fake stuff that people make about the Simpsons predictions. But at the same time, there's like equally a lot of real stuff that is made that the Simpsons had actually predicted. And one of them was 2008, season 20, episode 4. They aired an episode around election time. And they aired it. It's Homer trying to go to a electron, and he's trying to click on Obama. And you got Obama and you got John McCain. And every time he clicks on Obama, it goes to John McCain. He's like, Homer, he gets frustrated. He's like, oh, he keeps clicking and it keeps going to John McCain. And then the machine opens up and swallows him and kills him and spits him out. And then the guy puts an I voted stamp on his head, and it voted for John McCain like 7 times. It was a funny episode. But then in the reality of this is in 2012, there's a video out of Pennsylvania where they had to remove one of the voting machines because it was a voting machine. This actually happened. And actually, it was during Obama's presidency run against Mitt Romney. So they showed it. They aired it. You can look this up online. It's not that easy to find, but you can find it. You click on the one voting machine, you click on Obama, checks the box for Mitt Romney. That actually happened. And that was, that episode was in 2008, and this actually happened in 2012. And it was Obama running. So, there you can say, okay, Obama, they did this. Obama already was president or was about to be president, was running against John McCain. So it was already like kind of known.
Yeah,
but
just
regardless.
to add in something too. So Jesse's he's talking about the whole voter fraud shit that kind of is. I think it's a real thing. I think it's very easy to do it if it's electronically done. And
it's even easier when you have mail-in ballots.
Oh yeah, 100%. So when I was looking into the machines that they used in this past 2020 election, they used what's called the Dominion machine. And so when you it's kind of mind blowing a little bit. So when you trace back the etymology of Dominion, it goes back to medieval Latin, and then back to Latin, and then the Latin before that, like the very first of the Latin, which is Dominius. which means Lord, Master. So it's like it has full control, like full authority over
dominion.
it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I was just like, oh, that's kind of weird. I don't know. Interesting,
It is weird.
to say the least.
Unfortunately, the company Dominion later sued whomever for dissemination. I think they won, or whatever it's called. They sued somebody. They won because everybody was saying, "Oh, it's Dominion." You remember the time Trump?
Yeah.
So I think they won that. Unfortunately, I wish it were true. It might still be true, but they won the lawsuit. So, all right, moving on from that. That's a creepy one. That's a creepy one. This is a really cool one too. In 2010, season 21, episode 12, episode called "Boy Meets Curl." The Simpsons predicted that USA would make a comeback win to beat Sweden in the Olympics to win gold. Okay, that was in 2010. Well, in 2018, 8 years later, the United States men's curling team made a big comeback against Sweden to win gold. So they were successful in that prediction, and that was 8 years prior. And what happened in the episode was somehow Marge, Homer's wife, got hurt. She broke her arm, and they were like, "Oh, it's over. We're gonna have the USA sign like a waiver and saying we're out. You got gold. We're forfeiting." And then Marge came back and was like, "No, we're gonna win this." And then they came back and so that's a really interesting one too, because it's like how you can say, okay, these are the normal buddy that expected Canada to. I do know that. But you can say, these teams are normally in it to win it, and these teams normally win, and these teams normally lose. And so, that's one where, again, no one predicted that the United States was going to win gold, but it's not a super hard prediction to make. But still impressive. Definitely impressive. Okay, so then the last one I wanted to talk about, and there's definitely more. The Simpsons has predicted a ton, and Stevie will get into some of them too. But the last one that I thought was pretty funny was the Siegfried and Roy. Simpsons in 1993 had an episode where Roy was attacked by a white tiger. Well, in 2003, Roy Horn was attacked by a white tiger live during the show. So another prediction. Yes, everybody knew they used white tigers. Their shtick. They liked that type of animal, but still, it's a little creepy. It's like, okay, good prediction, but very plausible.
Very plausible, but still, you got to say, like, they've been working with those animals for what, 20 years, 20 plus years?
Oh yeah.
So, like, odds are it was going to happen eventually, but the fact that the Simpsons are like, this is going to happen.
A white tiger, specifically. Yeah. And it was exactly that. And it was, I believe, in the show. Well, I don't think they use their real names in the show. I'll have to go look into that. I'm not going to. So, Stevie, what do you got from the Simpsons?
So I think so. The one I got, it reappeared. I remember it coming out like I'd say 5 years ago or so. And because of the submersible Titanic catastrophe that took place, this kind of re-aired on all platforms, and everyone kind of saw it for the first time. Or people that didn't see it before. And so in season 17, episode 10, this is in 2006, Homer goes in a submersible sub and is on a mission with one of his long lost fathers, which he thinks it's his long lost father. And so he's going down to the bottom of the ocean, and they're on a trip to try and find a lost ship. So when they're down there at the bottom of the water, Homer gets stuck in a coral and he starts to lose air pressure. And so it kind of goes in prediction with what took place with the Titan submersible, that was going down to observe the Titanic with 5 carriers and had, an implosion 13,000, or I think it was like 10,000 feet below sea level or whatever. I just kind of found it interesting and weird that the Simpsons, that they were actually going down there to kind of look at a ship that sank years and years ago. And it's like, okay, interesting, to say the least.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
not
is.
not a
What year was that
coincidence, I don't think.
episode?
This was season 17, episode 10. This is in 2006.
2006. When did the movie Titanic come out? Because we knew James Cameron was already.
James
Right.
Cameron was going down. James Cameron's been going down there for years. I think he actually leads that expedition pretty much. I don't think a lot of people do go that far down deep. I think he's even gone to the Mariana Trench, which is even deeper.
He's gone to the Titanic. If you check out our Titanic episode, you'll know about all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's gone down to the Titanic 33 times, correct?
33 times, yeah. Yeah, and what's funny is in the Simpsons episode, they were going down there to kind of not only find the ship, they were trying to find like lost treasure. Which, when you look at the Titanic movie, what is the whole purpose of that submersible team going down to the Titanic? They're trying to find the necklace jewel. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, so the other one I have here is they predicted the God particle. This is season 10, episode 2. This is one of the most shocking Simpsons predictions yet. The Wizard of Green Terrace. This shows Homer's attempt at becoming an influential inventor like Thomas Edison. In a small part of the episode, Homer's seemingly nonsensical writing on a chalkboard reveals itself to be a complex math equation. So it's the math equation at itself that started to take interest in a lot of scientists that were seeing the episode. And so a renowned British science writer, Simon Singh, told The Independent, which is a article company, that Homer's final figure on the chalkboard publisher. So Homer's final figure on the chalkboard isn't too far from the 2012 CERN-Huygens boson discovery. And if you know anything about CERN, like, they're the ones that are trying to recreate what they think is the Big Bang, and they're smashing atoms together at the speed of light and
trying to play God.
Yeah, which they so. And he says, if you work it out, you get the mass of a Higgs boson that only a bit larger than the nanomass of a Higgs boson actually is, Singh said. That doesn't make sense. It's kind of amazing as Homer makes the prediction 14 years before it was discovered. So I guess he's maybe a little off with the formula, but the main part of the formula that he wrote on the chalkboard was close.
So do you think these writers for The Simpsons, or Matt, however you pronounce his last name, Groening, I never know how to pronounce that fucking name.
I've seen
Groening.
Go ahead.
Do you think that, like, he's like Nikola Tesla, where he's just tapped into the Akashic record, and he, like, shit just comes to him, and he's like, I have an idea for a new episode. Let's put this weird shit in there. Or do you think it's like they're like on Rick and Morty, where, like, the science is plausible because the writers on the show actually have doctorates in, like, physics and shit?
Yeah, I think it's a calculated. Most of it's calculated. Like the writer, the guy that made the show was like, if you make enough predictions, one of them is going to be true. And in his case, there's dozens.
And not just that, but like comedians and writers and stuff like that, like good ones, are incredibly insightful people. They're not idiots, and they can read trends, and they see what the fuck's going on. So I can imagine that just even making a joke about, like, we do it all the fucking time. Like, we just come up with the wildest scenario that pieces a couple things together, and fucking 6 months later, we're like, holy shit, we were right.
Yeah. And it's weird too because we'll be like, "Hey, let's have my dad on and talk about artificial intelligence." And then 4 days later, Joe Rogan has Sam Alter on talking about artificial intelligence. It's just weird. We do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hollywood has a lot to do with it, though. And if you think of like Hollywood at itself, like the meaning of Hollywood, and if you go back to ancient times or whatever, it goes back into witchcraft, sorcery, wizardry, things like that. I think the new term, I think you said earlier, that this Akashic record, but a lot of sorcery, witchcraft, and wizardry was tapped into by those specific practices. And so when I think of Hollywood, I'm thinking that Hollywood, yeah, you have like the mafia style there. You've got the people trying to make money. You've got the writers, the producers, and all this stuff. But I do think that there's some sort of, I don't know if you call it Illuminati, that's kind of the higher up above all those people that give them those maybe ideas. Maybe they know the predictions. Maybe they've tapped in like psychics into the realm or whatever. So they've seen these things themselves and they want to kind of put it out as like predictive programming. And if we're talking about predictions, right, like I think predictive programming is probably the most liable prediction source.
So what if this?
Seen.
I just thought of this. So along the same vein, it's Hollywood. It's there. It puts out this programming. These writers come up with these ideas, wherever it comes from, if they're tapped into the record. What if, has anyone ever looked to see, like, is LA or Hollywood or that area of California, is it like along a ley line? Is it like people go there and they're all these writers? Is it like, has it created its own energy that says,
yeah, there's Felicity. There's Felicity, Arizona, California.
Yeah,
and
you're
that's
like
where
putting
all the
out
ley lines.
Yeah, you're putting out all this, like this specific energy for this specific thing. Like, is it creating its own like?
I think I have an answer for that.
I think so too. I think it's in the movie Babylon. I think it was, which that movie was about how Hollywood actually started. I don't know specifically in the movie if it was about ley lines or anything, but it shows that they were really in the occult before they. This is like just after Thomas Edison, you know, where he was actually the one that started Hollywood pretty much because of the light bulb and filming and all that kind of stuff. But that they were super into that. So, and I wonder I guess that kind of goes in like, I wonder if these areas that might be, you know, in the occult or that are in useful. The occult,
right?
Yeah, that it's more useful in the ley line area. Maybe there's gates. Maybe it helps the looking glass. I don't know.
that's what I was gonna say. There's one spot in California that's not well known. It might be to the Hollywood peeps, but I don't think it's well known to them or anybody really. It's called Felicity, Arizona, California, and it's where all of the ley lines. I think it is the only part, but it's where all the ley lines converge to one center, and they made their own little cult there, and they called it the center of the world. And when you go there, we've talked about it briefly. We've talked about a wise men trip going there too. When you go there, they make you sign like a waiver, read it like some occulty, you know. They make you say say something. It's just weird. But Laurel Canyon, speaking to like, you think like where did the occultish stuff come up in California? Laurel Canyon, that's like the CIA. When you look into like Jim Morrison and a lot of these up and coming artists and Hollywood people back in, I don't know, early 40s, 50s, 60s, a lot of them were like MK Ultra, like CIA stuff. These guys, they had homes there, and their parents were part of the CIA. And I don't know if they got the occultish side from the CIA or not, but it's definitely like you get it. You go watch the hippie You go watch what's that one movie with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where they go to the place where they're all like hippies and they're all like in a cult together, and you got Charles Manson that's in a cult convincing people to kill other people for whatever reason, for just control. Well, that is later proven in the book Chaos that he was given LSD by the CIA
So
to control these people.
So to answer your question, Louis, that there is a ley line going through Los Angeles. There
There's a ley
is
line going
there
through.
there is a ley
Maybe-
line, and where Jesse's talking about, that is where the main part of the ley line is. I'm not
the
saying
nexus.
yes, like where then it strands out from.
Convergence. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a nexus point.
Mm-hmm.
A node.
Is that the only in the world though? Is that like the only?
Dude,
No,
and it's the biggest.
there's
It's the biggest
several around the
nexus. It's one of the biggest nexuses in North America that I see.
I think they tried to.
There's a couple
convince you.
nexuses in Florida, and there's ley lines all throughout. Like it's the whole world. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
Right. Yeah, there's ley lines running everywhere.
Gotta harness that energy. We need to take a camping trip, Stevie, and
Yes, we do.
Like just sleep on a ley line one night. See what comes to us.
The ground's vibrating. Is it vibrating for you? No, that's just my.
It's me masturbating furiously next to you. It's like a paint shaker.
Oh gosh. So, I mean, there's so many Simpsons ones that we can do. If you type it in YouTube, Simpsons predictions, whatever, you can go ahead and see a whole bunch yourself. My question to you guys is, how do you think? So we talked about Nostradamus. We talked about Simpsons. What do you guys think is the tool that these people are using to make these predictions?
I think we briefly touched on that a little bit. I just think,
well, we mentioned ley lines. We mentioned, occult, but there's some more things that I know I've done some research on, but I was just wondering if there was anything else.
If you're talking about like Nostradamus and like that type of stuff, that's like spot on. That has something to do with like, I don't know, spiritual or meditation or whatever.
So he was very religious, and he claimed that this stuff came directly from God to him.
What was his faith background? Was he just
fuck? Give me a second.
Can't remember. Sure,
I'll find it real quick.
So one thing that I was looking into while he looks at that, but he mentioned Nostradamus was a seer, right? I think you mentioned him. He was a seer.
He was known as a seer after he started making these predictions.
So is that like a fortune teller back in the day, or I can't remember exactly. I think there was like crystal gazing.
Well, just people who have visions,
right?
I don't know that it's specific to.
He probably didn't label himself that though. I mean, I'm sure he was just labeled that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he let's see. So he did a lot of traveling. He studied different occult practices derived from the Kabbalah, it says.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, see,
and then,
there it is.
Afterwards, he said he was constantly pursued and persecuted by the Catholic Inquisition.
Because he was a sorcerer. Damn. Well, that brings in the point, because seers were known to be crystal gazers and crystal tellers or whatever, and that they would. It's kind of like that crystal, that glass crystal ball, whatever, You'd see it in cartoons, see Bugs Bunny do it in Disney cartoons and all this other kind of stuff. And they would tap into the spiritual realm, and it almost made me think like, so even if they are tapping into the spiritual realm, but like, how are they it kind of brought me back to the Hermes thing, where as above, so below, and how he kind of like talks about that as how he breaks that down as what's taking place above is also taking place below. And it's almost like, is Earth the battleground where the spiritual forces manipulate things here on Earth?
Seems that way.
You know, like we know there's good and bad, right? So like how I'm trying to say this is these spiritual forces know what's going to happen, and when someone taps in through a gate, a portal, you know, through meditation or whatever, and they give them this information because they know that they have most of the control of what goes on here on Earth, but we think we do, right? It's like no, I've got free will and I can do whatever I want and this and that, but it's like the influence factor is like what I'm saying. So if they know what's going to happen in the future because of the influence that they have on people, maybe that's how they're kind of channeling this information to people so that they do make their predictions because they know, you know what I'm saying? It's really hard because when you're talking about the spiritual and then the physical, like we literally don't know shit. The physical, like we don't know shit.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
You know, like, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's all kind of weird. It's hard to talk about because it's hard to even put my thoughts around it.
You bring up all that type of stuff. Was Aleister Crowley a predictor as well? Like, did he have predictions?
Well, he
I
was.
can't believe I didn't think about
I
that.
think he does. But he was a channeler, so he would channel entities, and we all know, I guess, the main specific one that he would channel. And
no, do tell.
Oh, so he channeled a entity.
My God, these are the creepiest stories.
So he channeled an entity called Lamb, and this is where I think we get the pop culture imagery of a gray today.
That was also known as Pan too, wasn't he?
Lamb, L-A-M.
Lamb. Pan, I think was another one. I think he's spirit. I could be wrong. Could be wrong.
Pan a lot as well.
Yeah. And he was super into the ancient Egypt culture and religion and all that kind of stuff. So I guess we can move on to biblical prophecies. You guys want to do that?
It's about fucking time, Stephen.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to say the least.
So you're pushing to talk about it every 5 minutes, and come on, man, come on.
All right, so obviously my most favorite one is the end of days prophecies, and with all the things kind of going on with Israel and the Middle East, we are there. We are getting closer. It's warm, and so the biggest one I think I'll go over first is the book of Matthew, chapter 24. And as I bring that up right now, I will show you if my app would work. Damn it. So in this chapter, it is the process of things and how and when they take place in the later days, and which talks about then the second coming of Christ. So this is very hard. Boom. Wow. Okay. Bam. So it says, "Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name." This is Jesus speaking, by the way. So take heed, let no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated for all nations, for my name's sake. So I thought that was interesting, with especially the famines, the pestilences, and the wars and rumors of wars. So
In diverse places.
in diverse places. I think those things will be something that we will definitely point out if it does happen, or when it does happen, and because I think it's all going to take place in the time of the tribulation, and then the Bible also has predictions about the tribulation. I will say the most interesting on top of that is another prophecy from 1 Timothy chapter 4. This one's kind of interesting. So it says,
Timothy chapter 4.
So it says that in the later times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. That kind of makes sense in a day and age where the occult is really normalized. But speaking lies in hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry, and commanding to abstain from meats which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth.
Wait,
so that right
Go
there,
back to that.
that one right there,
Abstaining from meats. What you
abstaining
mean?
from meats. So
What kind of meats?
We're in the end times, like real meats, any
Like,
meats.
Why is there so many
climate-
vegetarians?
like climate change, vegetarians,
Vegetarian.
that we're gonna eat bugs. You know, it's weird. I
I'm
don't
not-
know. That one
I'm gonna
really
eat
kind of was
bacon.
like, I was like, what the heck? And he said that they command you to abstain from eating meats. So it's like,
Wow.
wow,
Dude.
okay,
Dude, that's
Vegan-
nuts.
that one's kind of
Vegetarians
weird.
are evil.
Well,
Bro, there's
it's
been
like almost
so many
that.
guys.
It's like that woke
There-
culture and the new age, you know, with especially
Yeah,
with the World Economic Forum and just the agenda, right? Like the whole Agenda 21 thing kind of makes me feel like abstaining from meat. Like that's one of their objectives, and they even explain how eating bugs is healthier for the planet, and it's, you know, it's more sustainable than the system of what we have today. And it's just all weird. I don't know. The famine
It is
thing
weird.
too. The famine thing too kind of makes me think, because Louis did say something about, right. So some countries are starting to run out of food production in certain areas.
Yeah, well, I mean, even in the United States, currently, like farmers the yield has been super low this year just because the weather's been so crazy.
Right.
Like like crops aren't growing fast enough, and then all of a sudden, because there hasn't been any rain, and then all of a sudden there's rain, and they end up just rotting in the fields.
Right.
There's a lot of like the cattle, like we haven't seen it really yet. That like
I know.
beef prices are gonna go crazy because the farmers have just been selling their cattle, like just to get it to market. But there's not gonna be fucking any around next year because they don't like.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And what else? There was
Wow.
another big one that was like potatoes have had a real big issue this year too.
Jeez.
So like potatoes, corn, like a lot of the corn has been going still to fuel, which means there isn't as much food grade corn, right? It's all fuel grade, or like it goes to animal feed because
Yeah.
stuff that
Mhm.
that's the only stuff that's made it out of the field is like the shit product.
Right.
Oh,
And-
yeah. Speaking about that, real quick, the Simpsons predicted the like where they take the animals and they're feeding the animals to the animals, and then
Yeah.
after that, there was like a whole crisis of like mad cow disease because they're
Well,
feeding
That's gonna be us when we start eating Soylent Green.
Soylent Green. That's
It's
right.
the
I forgot
people.
about that.
We'll be eating people.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, dude.
We'll be
Not
eating,
looking
living
forward
in
to
our
that.
living in cubicles, eating the bugs. And if you want meat-ish products, it's gonna be the convicts. They're just gonna People are gonna start disappearing in mass, and we're just gonna be eating each other. Here, eat this. It's good for you.
Zombies.
It's everything
Zombies.
everything in here that you need to build a human body, because it's a human body.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
They already do that with it when they fertilize peppers with Soylent Green. In reality, they use pig waste. Like they let the body decompose and use the sludge to fertilize
Um,
peppers. That's
well, I
already
mean
being done.
that's a little more natural. It's Pigs aren't humans.
Well, they're
Well,
close.
I mean humans. The nickname for human is long pig.
Long pig. Yep.
Ah. So the next prophecies I have here, this is just about Israel. It says that basically Israel will become their own nation, and when they do become their own nation, that the inhabitants of that area, start making their way. I don't know if that's the right word, but they start making their way back to their land, which that took place in 1948. Israel was established a nation, and they've always been controlled by Babylon, Rome, those higher empires. And also, it has been predicted, that has come true, that the second temple would be destroyed, and it was built in 60 something AD or 50, 60 something AD, and it was destroyed in 70 AD by the Romans. So that kind of came true. And that the later times, when I say later, I just mean like the end times, that the surrounding Arab nations will attack Israel. And this comes after, when they preach peace and security, then sudden destruction will cometh upon them. And what's funny is that 14 days or 15 days ago, I think it was, no, 1 month ago, I'm sorry, 1 month ago, remember I was telling you guys about the United Nations meetings and stuff? Well,
Mm-hmm.
in those meetings, all they did was preach. Every nation was preaching peace and security, peace and security, peace and security. And especially when Israel prime minister got up there, he preached that there's going to be peace and security between the nations and all this stuff. And that he even talked about that there's going to be a new trade route that they're working on after this peace deal, to come through from Asia, through Saudi, through Israel, and then to Europe. And so this is why I think
They were
that, huh?
they were saying the same thing during COVID. They're like,
Yeah.
peace and security. That's all they kept preaching
Yeah, it's
was
a big
peace and
thing.
security
Yeah.
during COVID. I
Yeah.
mean, but that just goes to show that the prophecy it's there. We're
Yeah.
in that time frame.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that I don't know if this is the beginning of the sudden destruction, because it says after they preach peace and security, then sudden destruction like cometh upon them. So I don't know I think we might have just opened the book, and I think we haven't seen the true issues to arise yet. And I'd say my last prophecies that I super like to get into is the one world system, right? Like the whole one world government, the beast system that's talked about in Revelation. And this beast is kind of broken down into 4 characteristics. And these 4 characteristics, if you go back to the book of Daniel, it explains that these were like the 4 main empires of the world. And so it's just explaining to you that this is a huge nation. Like, this is not nation, but this is a huge empire that has overtaken the entire world. And that there will be one ruler that runs it, and that there will be a currency system that will be set in place to control your buying and selling, if you have the mark of the beast. So like the beast is the system, then there's a beast running the beast, and then there is the mark of the beast. So if you don't have the mark of the beast, then you cannot buy and sell anymore. And I think we can see at least some of the groundwork being done as far as, you know, CBDCs being talked about. All of our money are in banks. We have no control over our monetary system, even if we think we have some freedom over it. We really don't.
So
everything's
again, go back to
electronic. You know, everything's electronic today.
Bro, go back to COVID real quick. Like, look at what they did with the vaccine. You don't have your vaccine restaurant
Yeah.
card. You can't leave your house. You don't have your vaccine card. You don't have your They did that during COVID, and they pushed that. That's the beast system for sure, right there.
I have a huge theory on that too. Go ahead, Louis.
So recently there was a bill trying to get passed. I can't remember if it was through the Senate or through the House for instituting the CBDC, right? And apparently like the banks and senators and everyone was against it, which I found surprising. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like,
yeah,
if a CBDC gets passed, banks no longer are required to exist, which means that like all these they can't lobby senators for shit because they don't exist anymore. So like all the power that would be lost, even from the corrupt individuals that are fucking shit up right now, like they would lose so much power and control if a CBDC was instituted. They would have zero reason to exist anymore.
How was that? Explain that.
Well, see, so CBDC is just central digital bank currency, and that one institution, the central bank or central bank digital currency, that central bank, they create it, and then they can create as much as they want. They can like however they want to structure it. They can do it so that every month they create another set amount or however they want to structure it. But then they are in control of it, and they can say like, all right, I'm going to give everybody X amount and we're going to start from zero, right? So now like everything else that exists, it doesn't matter. I mean, and I guess technically banks could exist where the central
they would
bank
adopt their own.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's the
but
illusion.
like they lose the power. I mean, we're already on a digital currency. Yes, we have the ability to have physical dollars, but like it's all fake and made up already anyway. So
yeah. And I think that there is just like there's one bank of the world. There is one bank. And I think that's kind of like what you're saying, where these banks don't have to exist. They don't. It's just these banks are just middlemen for the one bank. Like we have to remember that it's the bank
like that already.
Yeah, well, it's the bank that runs the world is the Bank of International Settlements, and then underneath them they have the they're the king bank. Then they have the queen bank. Then they have the children. So it's like everything gets funneled and pushed back up to the top, and that's who's actually like authoritating like this central bank digital currency, and it's just trickled its way all the way down. You know what I'm saying? So if this again, it's like it's a push and then stop approach that I think they're taking. Like they can't push us too far because then we'll revolt. So they got to push us a little, just a little bit more, just a little. Forget about it. Not like everything's good for 2 years. All right, push again. Everything's good for a year. Push again.
Yep.
And it's kind of like when we look at history, right? 100 years ago, we had just paper money that was actually backed by, actual gold and silver. And so we've progressed to where we're at today, and we went from paying things with money to now paying things with credit cards. I mean, even people were saying that was the mark of the beast back then, and it's not. We're not there yet. I think we have a little ways to go. People are paying with their credit cards, right? And then now people are starting to pay with their phones, right? And now people are starting to pay with their palms. Like if you walk into Whole Foods, they have what's called a palm pay. And so this palm pay registers it I think you have to set it up with Amazon, number one. But I'm not sure exactly if it reads the printing of your hand, which that's unique to the user. But what's also unique is your veins in your hands. And you can look that up too. It's kind of cool. But kind of bad at the same time. And
yeah.
I think what's going to accelerate this next goal, which is this CBDC, it's going to be the cyber attacks. It's going to be the crisis against the digital identity. So then they have to actually come out with some sort of identity process to where it's going to be so biometric that that's how they can easily slide in technology if they want to. Like if they want to slide in a microchip, okay, well, everyone's used to scanning with their hands, scanning with their retinas.
Rectum.
Oh my gosh.
They said rectum.
Yo, that's good. Yeah.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
That's your real third eye now, gentlemen.
Oh, that's a YouTube short right there, dude.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's a prophecy, man, and the world's moving that way. It's weird. The world's moving. It's on pace, and it's on track.
It's on
walking
on the point.
We're walking into Whole Foods. I got 5 pounds of my Soylent Green now, or my bugs, because I can't get beef. And she's like, it's gonna be $45. I'm like, all right, cool. Drop my pants. Fucking put my butthole on the reader.
There's like shit on the reader from like people scanning their ass too from before you, man. The robot there that's like scanning you is like wants to kill himself because he's like, dude, I've been getting farted on all day, bro. What the fuck?
Bro, on the real though, this prophecy is, dude, it's probably the strongest one. Because the COVID stuff, like it says you cannot buy or sell or eat, you can't do anything without having the beast, and it's totally happening. It's totally happening.
Well, think 100%. Of COVID on a psychological level. I'm going to put it so elementary for people, is that COVID was a test to push a psychological operation on people to understand that they needed to have something to be a part of society, and that you needed to keep your job in order to have this thing to be a part of society, and that you could not go into businesses or do anything to basically function in society without a certain thing. If it was either dealing with the masks, if it was either dealing with the shot, or if it was dealing with all these other things, but it got people primed, man, to see like, okay, how many people are gonna want this, number one, but then how many people are gonna kind of obey to this.
I have a really sad little story. This just happened to me the other day. I was talking to an elderly couple, really nice people. They're Christians. And we were talking, we got into the Bible talk, we got into Revelations, we got into this, and to talk about this. And of course, we ran into the vaccines. And I was like, yeah, I don't, these big pharmaceutical companies, they just want your money, they want to bank on your ignorance. And I didn't really say it that way because it's a really stupid way to say that to somebody that I know pretty much. I'm sure they got the vaccine. Well, they told me, I said, I didn't get the vaccine because I just don't trust. And the couple was like, how'd you do that? How did you get away with not getting the vaccine? Oh my goodness. I'm like, what are you talking about? It was your choice. They're both retired too. So it's just kind of a stupid thing for them. It's like, you're retired. You don't have any obligation to take this. And they're like, oh, I thought we had to. I thought we had. And they're sitting here talking to me about Revelation, and it's not even clicking in their head. And I'm like, wow, that's really sad, dude. That's really sad.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to say that little story. Sorry.
That older generation is very much Like they have been indoctrinated from forever to, if the government says to do something, we do it. You know what I mean? And then nothing
Yeah.
against them. Like they like that
Right.
was like people used to trust their government, and
Mhm.
more and more, like it's impossible to, like, if you just open your eyes and use your fucking brain, it's really hard to trust anything the government tells you anymore.
Dude, what's another
Flip
interesting
it.
too?
Flip it.
What's another interesting thing too, real quick, I'll just make it short. But Jesus says that in the end days it would be like the days of Noah. And so in the days of Noah, you had where not only the flood that took place, but like why did the flood take place? And it's because that the creation got corrupted, and it got corrupted on a DNA standpoint. It got corrupted to where when the Bible talks about Noah, it says that he was perfect in his generations. So it's specific saying that he wasn't a part of what was going on in the world. And so if we're talking about corruption of DNA, like talking about, Genesis 6, angels coming down, mating with women, if you think they're aliens, this, that, whatever. But the fact that nowadays we have what's called genetic editing. And so it's another agenda it's around the corner.
CRISPR.
And I don't know how crazy it's going to get in the future, but to me it seems like we may be entering into like the days of Noah. And maybe we might see, visitors come back. But how I think like Hollywood is priming us to be with that is that there are going to be things that possibly come back, that possibly interact with, our civilization. But I think the narrative is flipped, and and I'm biased in this, but I think the narrative is flipped. The pop culture narrative, it has you believing in the opposite direction. And what I mean by that is that when these angels or whoever do kind of come back, that they're going to say they're the good guys, and that they're going to be blaming that God's coming, or that, the other aliens that are coming back, they're the bad guys. And so there's a few movies that kind of stood out to me when I was thinking of this. And one show was called The Colony, right? So it's about when like good aliens come to Earth and try to warn the humans that, hey, bad aliens are on the way. We need to do this, right? And then there's the Avengers, which is like all about like the superheroes, right? Picture them as an alien figure, right? That they have these superpowers and all this other stuff, supernatural abilities, and that Thanos, who's the guy who basically is running the universe, he's the bad guy. But it's flipped. It's psychologically flipped. It makes you think one way when
That's a good point.
the reality of things is actually the opposite, if that makes any sense.
A little bit.
So,
yeah, Thanos is trying to balance out the universe by killing off half of the universe.
But that's what I'm saying. So they want you to think he's killing off, but really, like when people get raptured out of here, it's for a good thing. It's not for. They're going to blame it on. You see what I'm saying?
Inverted.
You see, kind of, it's inverted.
Totally. It's inverted from the Bible, and that's what the devil does. That's what the Bible says the devil does.
Right.
And that's a really good point. I never heard that before. That's a really good point, because that's exactly what happened in the movie. They just all disappeared. They all
right.
It was like the rapture.
And then the Avengers, who were supposedly the good guys, went to war with the bad guy, who is the good guy in reality, or biblically at least. You know what? You see what I'm saying? It's hard to explain.
I mean, there's theories out there that Thanos was right. especially if you keep
Oh,
going through
yeah.
the timeline and get
Right.
into the what was that other movie that came out with the Immortals or whatever they were? Not Immortals. Like the original
Yeah.
gods and like how humans.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember the other Marvel movie.
I think it's called The Immortals.
Is it the Immortals?
I think it's
I don't
like with
think.
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I think it's called The Immortals.
Yeah, maybe it was.
So you're
Anyway,
saying that
well,
people
yeah.
think that
So,
he was right for killing half the people?
so the theory goes that when the the giant space, I'm fucking this up. The giant uh space deity that like
Oh,
there's
yeah.
seeds, right? There's so in
Yep.
Earth, inside of Earth there, and in many uh planets there's seeds of the like the giant gods, right?
Right, and then they all
And
come back when that thing comes back.
right, but like humanity feeds on, or these seeds feed on the energy of humans. So the more humans there are, the more
Mm,
entity beings and stuff there are, the faster this thing grows. But once it
mm,
grows, it's gonna destroy planets and universes and shit. Like it eats worlds.
mm,
So when Thanos killed everybody off, it stopped from these things from growing. Basically,
mm.
took all of its energy source.
That does make sense. Was that the same? Was it Marvel versus DC? Those are two different. Immortals was DC,
Universes.
right?
Marvel is not DC. No.
God damn it!
No, I know, but
No.
that Immortals was DC, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna look up this timeline because now it's bothering me.
Regardless, the movies and Hollywood and music is ran by the devil. Just to let y'all know.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe me, maybe go down the rabbit hole a bit more and figure it out.
Yeah. It's too much to cover on one podcast for sure.
Yeah,
It's deep.
it is deep.
It's deep.
It's deep, but I mean,
But I
look at
can go
Doja
on.
Cat.
I can go on forever with
Look at that chick.
with more biblical stuff. I could be
Oh,
here
yeah.
all day, but I'm not gonna be Bible thumping anybody harder. So, one thing I looked into to kind of discuss how are these how are the topics that we talked about earlier? How are these people kind of getting these predictions? How
Where
are they
they
looking
getting
into it?
their information?
Yeah, where are they getting their
Mhm.
information from? So, I looked into
Right.
some government projects, and one of the projects is called Project Looking Glass. Louis, have you heard of this?
I have, and it's drawing a blank onto what
So there's
exactly.
multiple narratives with
Is That's not the one
with what
where
this
they
is.
were doing like cloud busting and shit too, was it?
No. So there's multiple narratives from so the new narrative is an ET narrative that basically, according to a whistleblower, I'm going to go through the multiple narratives here and tell me which one you think is the most plausible. Mine is option 2. So option 1 is, according to this whistleblower, Dan Burish, he said that basically, technology, that there is technology that shows future probabilities and that this tech uses quantum computers. He also claims that it's a special cube that was given to the U.S. by extra-dimensional beings. He also claims them to be extraterrestrial, so he's going back and forth.
Was it a Tesseract? He was given a
Dude,
Tesseract?
when I have it right here, either Tesseract or the cube from damn Transformers. Remember the cube?
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Allspark.
The Allspark, dude.
The
Allspark.
Allspark.
The
I found
Allspark.
the movie Eternals. Eternals was
Eternals, not
Eternals.
Immortals.
There you
I think
go.
there's an Immortals, but I think that's a show.
I think they
Yeah.
are a different group of superheroes.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so this guy, this whistleblower, Dan, he was directed by the military to expose this material. This is what he says in his interviews. What I kind of see with what he's saying is kind of like two truths, one lie. Kind of sounds, at least that's how I can explain it. So I think they're putting a spin on a lot of the purpose and meaning for what he is saying. I do think there is some informational warfare going on with his story. But he basically talks about that ETs came here, gave us this cube, and that this cube, it has the power through a channeler where you sit in this chair, you sit in this seat, and you're wearing all this technology, and it's connected to this cube, and that the cube basically needs a host to transfer the data through the technology that the channeler is wearing, and then it displays on a television screen. And so that's his story pretty much. There's another guy, Al Bellick, that also kind of talks about a similar thing. But this is more recent years. But what I found in the 70s was that the government took hundreds of psychics and conducted them in experiments and used them to connect to a quantum computer. And so these psychics, there's hundreds of them. And so
The men who stare at goats, is that what that is?
very similar, dude. Very, very similar stuff, right? And so these psychics would start to channel their information, and that information's going through quantum computers, and then it's all going to what's called a controller. And the controller is like the medium, basically, that is the head point that then displays this information onto TV screens. And so the controller, he's actually like, he or she, whatever, they're the most experienced and the most highly qualified psychic in this whole process. And they channel things, that, Earth is giving them, which kind of like lead me back to like the whole ley line thing. They call it Gaia. And so I think a lot of this too has to deal with like Tesla technology, especially with, the things that he kind of brought up, and he kind of died, and the FBI or CIA or whatever took all his stuff, along with, Trump's uncle took all his shit too.
Trump's uncle, dude,
right.
took all his trunks.
So they were running tests on this new technology, and they were running tests on the stock market, on the lotteries, and on the fall of the Soviet Union. And so the problem with Project Looking Glass was keeping onto the psychics and holding them and containing them basically for a long period of time. The psychics started to kind of understand what the government was using them for. They were probably, government employees, but then they started to feel an immoral aspect to this whole thing, that the government was using them for their own use and power.
Typical. This is very typical.
And that they were trying to not only use them, but they were trying to also like control the world while using them. And so what happened was all these psychics, they all started leaving the program. They all started getting out.
What year was this?
This was in the 60s and 70s. And so what was another program that came right after this? MK Ultra.
Sorry.
So MK Ultra, I think, was a whole revamp of this program because they wanted to not only, bring them into the program at a young age, but they also wanted to raise children in this program so that they can kind of be, indoctrinated into knowing that this is what their purpose is, kind of like born identity stuff. They're fed LSD drugs, and they're fed all these medications, and they're just basically
Charles Manson. Go to Charles Manson. He was born upon that whole thing. They were giving him LSD to feed everybody else to mind control.
Yep. But this whole operation was basically to have these people connect to the esoteric realm, pretty much. So,
what do you think the purpose of that is? Why connect these people to the esoteric realm? What's the point of that? So they can use them as the looking glass?
Yeah, and I think that the ultimate goal is to see when the end of the world is. That's my
Interesting.
theory.
And now they know. And now they know.
Well, which is funny too in the Bible when you're reading through Revelations and you're in chapter 6, and after the sixth seal, which is basically like the sun goes dark, the moon goes red as blood, and the second coming of Christ is like at hand, that when God does come back, that the merchants, the mighty men, the elites, and it's very specific when the Bible talks about these categories of people. They are the elites. Let's just say that. And that these elites run and hide themselves in the mountains and in the caves, which makes me think of bunkers and makes me think of all this other stuff. But I also think that these elites who have the money to pay for all this and to do this kind of stuff, you know, that they want to know when this time comes so that they can be safe when it does happen.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have an eclipse tomorrow, so
yeah,
if it does eclipse and then doesn't stop eclipsing, probably find a place to hide.
Yeah. But that's all I got, guys. I don't know. That's all I got.
All right. Well, I mean, with this kind of stuff, there's so much to talk about, so much more. But
yeah, for sure.
We've been going a while, and you know what?
I mean, you never really know because all of it can just none of it could be real or correct, or we're just making shit up anyway. So
right.
That's the beautiful thing. See, this is the part about sourcing. When so many things when you can connect the dots in reality, and you go, oh, that's kind of the same thing, a different source, a different. Your intuition, that's your like natural God-given ability, is being able to discern those types of things, in my personal opinion. And I think one of the reasons that everything during COVID was so demoralizing is to get you to not trust your intuition. And I think that that's a big thing with people. People don't even trust their own instincts anymore. And I think that was kind of taken away from them in a way. And even the children nowadays, I mean, that's probably, you can kiss that goodbye for a lot of these kids.
Yeah, probably. We got to start running shit through our third eye.
Facts, right here.
Through that pineal gland. I'm telling you, though, if they have us start scanning buttholes, I'm in. That's the only way I'll do it.
Yeah.
You're not putting the technology in my palm, but if you want to put it in my sphincter.
Oh, man.
I like that.
It's gonna be uncomfortable for everybody.
Not my hand, but take my ass.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Blasphemy. Foosballs for the devil.
All right. Well, that's going to conclude this operation. This was a cool podcast. A lot of crazy stuff. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you've tuned in this long, I appreciate it. We love you. And go ahead, follow us on our socials. Hit us up on YouTube. We are The Wise Men on YouTube, just how our starting and ending screen has it written. And
isn't it a little different on YouTube? It's like
it is.
There's some numbers.
I think that's the @ but if you actually type in The Wise Men, yeah.
Okay.
We'll
the problem with that is that our old account is still up. For whatever reason, it was permanently taken off, but it's not. It's still up. So when you find the account that has, I believe, 1895, something like that, that's our account.
Say the right numbers here.
Yeah, let's do the right numbers here, guys. Regardless, the account that's the real account on YouTube has got a lot more video.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you see one that's really active, that's the new one. And then again, check us out on Punk Farm. There's a couple other podcasts up there that we're talking with. We're gonna do some collabs with. We were recently on the Anti-Hero podcast. Stevie and I went on there and did an episode with him. Look for that. I know Stevie's been talking with Talks with Taylor from Talks with Taylor. And I feel like they're going to do something really cool soon together. And what's the other one? Whiskey and
Windage.
Whiskey and Windage. Those guys seem really cool. I wouldn't mind being on their show. So if you hear this, go ahead and invite me because I want to be on your show.
Yeah, for sure. All righty. All right, everybody. Y'all have a good night. Peace and love.
Have a great night. Thank you, chat. Have a good night.
Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Chicken grease.